Welcome to Circuit Zandvoort, home of the second race of the 10th season of the Alpha Touring Challenge. We're here this evening for open qualifying right now. They are just about to start their first laps. So what do the drivers have in store for them today? Well, it's a sprint challenge, 30-minute first race, 20-minute second race. The first race worth more points. The winner gets 70 points versus 30 points for the second race. The top 8 finishers from the first race are inverted to start the second race. Otherwise, the first race sets that grid. Cool track. It's very different from Belle Isle. Much more elevation, undulation type of changes. Each sector kind of has its own thing on offer. The first sector is all about nailing the banking. The second sector is about nailing late apexes and finding the right racing line. And then sector 3 is all about that chicane and then hitting the final 2 corners correctly to carry the speed all the way down the straightaway. Let's jump down to the track. I believe it is Logan McKenzie who has led the field out. And there he is on track right now. And currently, nobody has set a time yet. But most of these drivers have finished their out laps. So this is going to set a time here. McKenzie closely followed on track by, I believe that's Patrick Archambault, and then behind him is Dan McFarlane of SRG. Now, last weekend at Belle Isle, it was Micah Hendricks taking the victory, taking his first career victory at Belle Isle, but matching Slugnificent for 27 victories all time. That is the second all time in the victory count. Micah looking to surpass Slugnificent with win number 28 here today in either of these races. That would be enough to do it. The first laps are coming in now as McKenzie crosses the line. And his first lap is going to be a 1:45.106. Archambault crosses the line with a 45.9. And McFarlane with a 45.3. These first couple laps, these drivers are going to be warming up the tires. It's cold out here, so it's going to take a couple laps for us to really see representative times in this qualifying session. And it's going to be kind of a race if the track starts to change condition-wise to get those laps down quickly. But it seems like it's only going to get cooler as this goes on, as I believe qualifying, or no, it's going to get warmer because qualifying, it is early morning here at Zandvoort. And then the race will be taking place shortly after that. So temps, if they move at all, they'll go slightly up. But I wouldn't expect too much movement. Micah Hendricks, last week's winner, holding on to provisional pole right now. And it's we're going to lose him there for a second, actually. So we'll hop to his teammate at SIA. It's Mark Darnell running in P8, but provisional pole in the Delta class, the 1:45.8. So his second lap, looking for a bit of improvement there. Let's see who's about to come across the line here. We got Gunnar Schmidt. And with a bit of an improvement, Schmidt jumps up to 25th overall. Schrader goes to 26th. Next up, it is Fouad Al-Rijle, and he runs a 47.3. And now McKenzie has looped back around. The whole field has come through, so now coming out of the final corner, it's going to be the Yellow Flag Motorsports driver. Looking to improve on that first time of a 44.8. And he is certainly on pace to with a purple second sector and a 44.2 across the line. Archambault follows him over, and that is a purple lap. No purple sectors, but he's put it all together. McFarlane has improved as well, but does not get ahead of McKenzie. Archambault, the first car to go into the 43s. And we're seeing Breen come across. Here comes John Lazon with a purple final sector. It's not enough for provisional pole, but it jumps him to P2. Ian Bertolucci about to cross the line. He goes from P21 to P9. Daniel Cedeno up to P13. Micah, P2. Cody Crosgrove in 7th place. And now he is on Delta pole. Look at this. And he's actually going to pull aside and head over to the pits. Schink comes across the line, but I don't think he improved. David Bauer is crossing the line now. And into turn 1. He's still sitting in, where's David Bauer? He's in 16th at the moment. Brian Son crossed the line 25th. Christian Ost with a slight improvement. Dave Hernandez, always good to see Dave Hernandez, the manager of the Tail Racing League. They were doing the Ringmeister before it was cool, and he is running that Tail Racing livery right there, so shout out to Dave. He came across the line with a 47-1, so he's currently in 29th, just got pushed down by Mark Schrader. McKenzie is about to loop back around, and he has once again gone purple in that second sector. And now the process starts over again. And McKenzie's quite far out from these guys. These first three cars, McKenzie, Archambault, and McFarlane, are all a bit separated from the rest of the qualifiers. So we'll see their times come across first. McKenzie, again, back on pole. Archambault comes across the line. He does not improve. McFarlane does not improve. So they're going to go again. It's Ben Aiken coming up next. And then Matt Zepka, who jumps up to 10th, but only for a moment. He's down into 11th now. Lazan does not improve. Darnell got back onto Delta pole. I think I neglected to mention that, but he did beat Crosgrove's time, and now Bertolucci finds the pace. P6 for the SRG driver, and that's a nice lap of 44.4, excuse me. That's only 0.6 off the current lead. Eric Statzer goes 28th fastest. Francois Schink improves to 8th, just ahead of his teammate, the Delta leader, Mark Darnell. Anthony Harrison jumps to Delta pole, the 4OG's driver. A 44.4 for him puts him in P9th overall. That puts him ahead of Connor Acatella, Francois Schink, and the Slugnificent, who we haven't talked about much today. He just came across the line, did not improve, P15. And now we're seeing the improvements start to trail off. We're only halfway through qualifying now. Mark Schrader's coming across the line, looking for an improvement off of he's in 32nd at the moment. 2 green sectors. And he improves just a bit, up to 30th in that Elantra. Brandon Shelton just behind him. And I don't think Shelton put down a clean lap there. He's still not on the board from what I can see. McFarlane's on 2 green sectors, excuse me. If he can just nail that second to last corner, carry the speed through the banking. McKenzie and Archambault did not improve, so this is McFarlane's chance to jump them. He is across the line, and he does not improve. Or if he did, it wasn't enough to gain a position. I think he did improve, but that 44.2 is not enough. It looked like that third sector just wasn't what he was looking for. Green in the first 2, yellow in the third. So no improvement there. Darnell with another improvement. It's not enough to get back on Delta pole, but he continues sitting in 10th place, just behind Anthony Harrison. Daniel Sedano has a green middle sector. He does not improve, though. Yeah, it doesn't look like he improved. That may have been a dirty lap, because it did look like it was a better lap time, but it did not make it to the leaderboard. Kevin Langer, 24. He's in an Audi. A couple more Audis in the field today. It's nice to see that not a whole lot at Belle Isle. I think we have 3 now today. There were just 2 at Belle Isle. Brian Son has just come across the line for P20. And that jumps him up with a 45.2. And look at that. Right behind him is teammate Christian Ost. And then further back, I think that was Jason Lynn behind them. No, Jason Lynn is actually running ahead of them. So that car behind them is actually Cody Crosgrove. Not officially part of that team yet, but wearing the team colors. Canadian making what I believe is his first start. Yes, he was not at Belle Isle last week, and he's currently sitting P4 in the Delta class. Patrick Archambault, though, is on pace. 2 green sectors, pole position, 43.757, and that was what the Audi driver was looking for in his second career start. Can he make pole position? There's still plenty of time for answers from the other drivers. Hendricks only 0.2 off. McKenzie Hendricks 1/10 off. McKenzie less than 0.2 off. Matt Zepka has improved. He's in P11. He's splitting the Delta leaders, Harrison and Darnell, with a 44.56. He is currently the second highest rated SIA driver. His teammates, Francois Schink, Mark Darnell, are sitting behind him in 12th and 13th. And then Micah Hendricks in P2, obviously. Anthony Harrison, though, has improved again, and he's jumped David Bauer, Raymond 2, Ian Bertolucci. There's some good Alpha drivers that Harrison is ahead of here in qualifying so far. And now, I think we missed it, but Brian Saab put in a lap just after teammate Harrison, and the 4OGs have reclaimed the top of this Delta class with Harrison in P1, Brian Saab P2, but actually a pretty big gap between them overall, because it's 7th versus 13th for those two. Dave Hernandez improves again, goes to 31st fastest. Brandon Shelton is on an improvement, and he's looking to get out of that 33rd position, and that is a much better lap. He jumps to 25th with a 45.5. And then Matt Kingsbury up to 17th. That's 4th overall in the Delta class, the 44.9. And now we have 17 cars inside of the 44-second window, but only 3 inside of that 43-second window. And Archambault not improving, McFarlane not improving, McKenzie did not improve last time. Aiken, Mitchell, Murray, nobody looks like they're on a very fast lap at the moment. The Significant jumped up to 6th at some point. He's halfway around the track, so that must have been a bit ago, but he's finding the pace that he was not able to discover in Belle Isle in that Audi. Now, in an Elantra Zandvoort, he's looking a bit like his old self here, edging. He's just a half second off of the leader's pace at this point. I did just see a purple sector. That was John Lazon. Purple in sector 3, a 10th faster than McKenzie through there. But it does not improve his position. He did improve his overall time, 44.1. And he's sort of the first car that can't get out of the 44s. And then you see 5th, 6th, and 7th. There's less than a 10th covering those guys. So these guys, they find a half 10th. You know, it's worth a position to a lot of these people. And that are still out there running. There's only a minute left in qualifying, and in sprint challenges and heat racing formats, you do not get to finish the lap you're on. So when we hit 15 minutes, it's over. As a result, that means that people coming across the line now, they are done with qualifying. So first, it's Al Rizalev coming across the line, and no improvement it looks like. But Matt Kingsbury does improve. Last second, goes to P3 in the Delta class. He pulls to the side. He knows he's done. McKenzie on his final flying lap. No improvement there. Gunnar Schmidt behind him. Dan McFarlane might be on an improvement. Green in the first sector, trying to get out of 5th place. Archambault does not improve. McFarlane does. He jumps into the 43s, and he gets ahead of Lazon into P4. So a last-minute improvement from him. And I don't see improvements from anyone else in the field. And this group right here, you're looking at Anthony Harrison coming to the chicane. Oh, and that's an invalidated lap. So the car behind him, I think that's Clavito. It is. Lazon goes purple, but it doesn't matter. He does not improve overall. He was 1/100th off of improving his lap, though. And now, with no time left in qualifying, it looks like Anthony Harrison isn't even going to get to finish that lap. So that is it. Patrick Archambault with his first career pole in the Alpha Touring Challenge.
Isn't that the way? Everybody's got their dues in life to pay. All the things come back to you. Sing with me, sing for the year, sing for the left, sing for the dear. Sing with me, it's just holiday. Maybe tomorrow, the love will take you away.
All right, let's take a look at our starting lineup for today's race. Patrick Archambault on pole today at Zandvoort. He takes it with a 43.75. Then it's Hendricks, McKenzie, McFarlane, Lazan, Slug, Anthony Harrison on Delta pole. Then Bauer, 2, Bertolucci, Schink, and Saab in the top 12. Further on down, Connor Acatella, Matt Kingsbury, Zepka Darnell, Mitchell Breen, Aiken, and Clavijo. That is your top 20. Son, Cedeno, Ridgely, Crossgrove, or Al Ridgely, Crossgrove, Shelton, Murray, Oslanger, Lynn, Statzer. It's your top 30, and then a few more down the line, rounding out the field. That is your grid for today. Temps are about the same as they were in qualifying. One quick check on the point situation before this race. Hendricks leads McFarlane and McKenzie by 9 and 12 points respectively. What happens today? We are 10 seconds away from the beginning of this race. It's the first one, 30 minutes at Zandvoort. We are prepared to go. Waiting for the green lights. And it's away. The race at Zandvoort has begun. It's the first of two today. They head down to turn number 1, and Archambault is leading, but Hendricks getting in there, and I think he might get this. Coming out turn number 1, it is Hendricks in the lead, just barely ahead of Archambault. The rest of the field working their way through there as cleanly as they can. Now they come through turn 2 into the banked corner, turn 3, and this is going to be quite the spectacle. Look at how many cars are going to roll through here. And they have managed to do that fairly cleanly, I think. And now they're starting to spread out single file kind of through this section. That's going to keep them safe. And now you're seeing them start to settle down a little. There's still some too wide action going on back there. Anthony Harrison's lost 2 spots. Ian Bertolucci up 2 spots. And we're seeing some battling there with Damon Mitchell in Sector 2. He is side by side with, that's Brian Saab. And then Connor Acatella behind them. Just ahead, you're seeing Raymond 2 defend against Francois Schink. David Bowers up there battling the slug. And now finally Brian Saab cuts ahead of Damon Mitchell, cutting back to the battle at the front. Micah with a bit of a lead. We're seeing Dan McFarlane trying to fend off John Lazan, and this whole group of cars coming through the chicane now, and look at how tight that is. Some side-by-side action. Oh, there's a car off. It's Brian Saab. He got kind of shoved there. I didn't see who turned him, but he did get a tap from the left rear quarter panel, and that has demoted him. 11, 12, I think he has damage. I think he might be done. Back to the front of the field. Oh, it's a battle for P2 now. Archambault under pressure. He was on pole. He lost out on the start. Now McKenzie to the outside. Side by side through turn 1. McFarlane looking for something to do here. Something to work with. They're still neck and neck. Up into turn number 2. McFarlane just waiting for something to happen here. And there it is. It happens. And now this is going to be a problem. McKenzie into the wall. Archambault into the wall. I think that was Bauer who suffered damage. Look at this. This is going to be a bit of a mess. Oh, McKenzie just limping there. Archambault sitting there. And everyone's having to split and dodge and just avoid this crash. And I think they've done so. And what this means now is McFarlane is actually under pressure from Lazan. Look at this. Lazan making a move into this corner. He's going to make a stick. And into Sector 2, McFarlane's going to lose out to the breakfast for dinner driver. And in the span of one lap, Lazan has gone from P5 to P2. And that was an eventful first couple of laps. And there is still more going on. Damon Mitchell still fighting with, that is Anthony Harrison and Raymond 2 and Connor Acatella just behind them. They're going side by side into the chicane. I think Damon may have to back out of that one, though. And Acatella is going to go for the move on 2, though. And he successfully gets that. He nails it, gets it done, and he is up into P9. There's more movement behind. Kingsbury looking for a move on 2. Now we're starting to see these drivers settle down a little bit. A couple of incidents at the start of the race, the big one being the pole sitter and the defending champion. And now Raymond 2 is into pit lane. Is this fuel? Is this a jump start? I'm not sure. He's going to pull in just behind the wreckage of David Bauer's car. And that looked like a fast repair, actually. He stopped for just a moment, not even refueling. So Micah with a huge, huge, huge lead here. 3.2 seconds over John Lazon. And now we're in the thick of it. Cody Crosgrove has just made a pass on Matt Kingsbury coming out of turn number 3, and that promotes him up to P11. He's trying to hunt down Delta leader Anthony Harrison, who has a couple of cars between him and the rest of the Delta drivers. And now that is Matt Zepka sliding through that corner. Caught that at the very tail end of that camera shot, and he's going to get demoted to just behind Kingsbury. Now he's got Jason Breen on his tail end. Christian Ost going side by side with Mark Darnell here through the second sector. And it's tough to really, it depends on the driver. Do you want the inside or outside line through these corners? If you're far enough alongside, the inside line can work. But it's just a matter of how far alongside you are and how good the line you take is. And wow, I cannot believe Darnell did not spin Christian Ost there. Ost closed the door. Darnell backs out right at the last second. And that was scary. I thought I was about to watch a big crash there heading into the chicane. John Lazon has gained 3/10 on Micah Hendricks, but he has also not been able to shake McFarland. And now into turn number 1, McFarland making a little peek with his nose, but I think that middle line where you can really take advantage of the banking is what you want here at Zandvoort. So through turn 1, it is Lazon who holds on to that position. And I think that is the right move to defend that high side. Jumping back to the middle of the pack, let's see, Zepka just behind Kingsbury into turn number 3. O's just behind them. No one making a move into the banked corner on this lap. It kind of filters people out. If you're going side by side through turn 1 into turn 3, by the time you come out of turn 3, you should be single file. Zepka has fallen to P12 here behind Ost and Breen are behind him. There's Kingsbury, Crosgrove, Acatella. The leader of this pack, I believe, is Crosgrove. Yes, in P10. And then everyone else is stacked up behind him, and that's exactly what current Delta leader Anthony Harrison wants to see. He is running P7 overall right now. 1 second off of the tail end of Francois Schink. He's showing some great pace today. I mean, over a second ahead of Damon Mitchell, Connor Acatella back there. But that whole train that those guys are kind of stacked back in, led by Crosgrove, that is the biggest train on track at the moment. I'm seeing a decent amount of shifting around here. I think we occasionally just keep losing Dave Hernandez. But let's talk about Dave Hernandez. 24th place. He's gained 8 positions in this race so far. So he started all the way back in 32nd, and it's been a great run for the tail racing driver so far. Further up the field, it is Fuad Al-Rizle defending from Brian Sohn. And Sohn, this is currently a fight for the 21st position. There it is. Coming out of turn 1 now, these guys are really, really close to each other. And they've been stacked bumper to bumper for the last lap and a half from what I've seen. Look at that. You're going to see the slightly higher line that the Audi took out of there get a better exit. And it doesn't help that Son goes through the grass. Will the Almeida look for something here? Not much you can do on this straightaway, but look at how close he's going to get. And now down into the corner, he backs off. That is a scary sight, especially at the end of such a high-speed straight. But Son has managed to gather it up and only lose 1 position out of all that. Still very much in that fight. McFarland has not made any inroads on Lazon yet. Oh, there's a little bit of a dive, though. De Almeida taking the inside, but he'll have the outside for this corner. It might help him out, though, if he goes for a little crossover move, and he's going to make it work. Pulls alongside of the CPR driver, down to the chicane, turn 11. Who's going to win out here? Son has that inside line. I think it's the preferred line, but Almeida's going to hold his own around the outside, and Son takes a little bit too much of that curb. I hope he didn't get a slowdown from that, but he loses a little bit of time, and that is Almeida up another position. And let's talk about Mike Almeida for a moment, because he qualified in 36th. Now, that is to say he didn't qualify due to a penalty from last week. And he is up 15 positions in this race so far. Let's cut ahead to Jason Breen, because he is battling with Ost around the outside of turn number 1. He's trying to make that work, and he keeps a nose in it, so they are going to be side by side coming up to turn 2, but Breen backs out. And now Zepka going for that inside line. I don't think this is going to work. Look at this speed difference off the corner you're going to get here. Yeah, that outside line just works way too well. You know, trying to throw Breen off his line maybe, but that's just not going to work. You have to force the car ahead of you completely off their line if you want to do something in turn 3. Because it's really, if you aren't on that outside line, you aren't going to get any kind of run off that corner, and then you're going to struggle. Let's check back a little further in the field on Ben Aiken, who's running 4/10 off of Mark Darnell and is still a part of this group. And now Al Rizla battling with Mike Almeida, and now Almeida with another pass. And that is his 16th pass of the day if he can finish it off, but I may be speaking too soon here because this is a bit of a fight. And once again, the double yellow driver will have to battle someone into the chicane side by side, again on that inside line. And the Audi is not going to be able to hold that this time. And Mike D'Almeida has improved to P20. Back up front, Micah Hendricks. Logan is running just behind him as a lap car, looks like. But Micah Hendricks does have a pretty large lead, 2.2 seconds though. That was 3.2 seconds after all the carnage on lap 2. At last lap, John Lazan was over 2/10 faster. So this is actually looking... Oh, we're not getting lap time data there. But this is looking a little dangerous for Hendricks. Because he's not carrying the pace the B40 driver is on all these laps. McFarlane's holding on too, but it seems like it's Lazan that has the pace. And McFarlane's just kind of getting towed along, or at the very least, hanging on for dear life. And behind them in P4, it's the Sugnificent. He started P6, so he's only gained 2 positions, but he's kept it clean, and he's looking for a career best finish in, what would be 2.5, 3 seasons? Ian Bertolucci, also having a great day so far. Dan McFarlane's SRG teammate. They got 2 cars in the top 5 right now. That's a great run for that team thus far. Behind them is the Nexia driver, Schenk. And now we have a change in position here, and Zepka has just slid ahead of Matt Kingsbury. And that looked like he had just enough space to pull that off. But now into the chicane, it's Kingsbury with the better dive. On the brakes, he beats Zepka, but through this corner, he's got him. He takes the position back, and what a great move by Matt Kingsbury. And Zepka's gonna have to try again. Further up ahead, Damon Mitchell is only a 10th ahead of Connor Acatella, and now we are going to see a run down to turn number 1. Acatella on the outside line, and I don't think he's going to really have the speed or the authority out there to kind of hold it. And Damon will pull ahead for now. Damon has a little bit of right front damage that he's nursing, I think. Kind of hard to tell. A little bit of a kick out, a slide from Connor there. He may have gotten into the back of Damon. And now Kingsbury and Zepka battling again. Through turn 3, Kingsbury is once again going to have that better exit. And he's done a great job defending this thus far. It looked like Zepka had the measure of him in sector 2 on the last lap. But then with that great move into the chicane on the outside. And then he had the preferred line through the banking in turn 12. And that's kept him ahead. Mike D'Almeida has closed in on Daniel Sedano now. And this might be his 18th victim of the day. That would mean he started 18th and is currently he started 36th and is currently trying to improve to 18th, and he does it. And he does it all in one turn there. That is a beautiful move, and Zdeno falls in behind him. And just behind, it's Kyle Murray trying to make a move on Al Rijla. And that is Honda versus Audi down into the chicane, but Murray's not going to have the momentum, and he tucks back in behind. That's actually your closest battle on track right now. But Luzon is now within 2 seconds of Hendricks. If we go on board with Luzon here, you're going to see that car ahead is McKenzie, and then you see Hendricks. Look at that. That's not a huge gap. That is less than 2 seconds. And when Luzon catches up there, I imagine McKenzie will hop out of the way, and then it's going to be interesting to see if Hendricks can hold on to that. We are only just approaching the halfway point of this first sprint race, and we could have a battle for the lead developing. Hendricks did a 44.28 on that last lap. Luzon did a purple 43.96. Only car all day to set a 43-second lap in race trim thus far. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll see if that gap continues to close. I also think Luzon has lost McFarland here. McFarland's actually a bit in danger of slipping back to the slug, as he is matching his lap times at the very least, if not edging him out by about a 10th on every other lap. So we'll keep an eye on these top 4 cars, because you have a couple battles for position developing there. Connor Ancatella has slipped away from Damon Mitchell. Anthony Harrison, let's talk about him, because he is your Delta leader right now, and he's got pace. This is, you're getting promoted to Alpha type of pace almost. The 4 OGs really showing out in the Delta class. Anthony Harrison currently 1 second behind Ian Bertolucci and Francois Schink. Is he faster than both of them? Is Schink being held up by Bertolucci? Bertolucci's been defending for a little bit here, and so far he's been able to hold on to that P5 position. Bertolucci and Schink have both gained 5 positions since the start of this race, so I think both of them are quite happy with where they are regardless. But certainly a top 5 is just, that's another 3-4 points right there, so it is a big thing, even just 1 position in this race. Jason Breen very close to Christian Ost. In fact, he's on that outside line in turn 1. Can he make it stick? Can he make it work? I think Ost has gotten the better run out, and he will cut across his bumper, holding on to that P13. And Ost has been leading this crew for a while. Those guys were very close to each other. Let's jump to Brian Sohn, because side by side, there's a little wheel-to-wheel action, a little door bang through turn 3, and I think Sohn is going to hold on to this one. That was elbows out racing. Daniel Zdeno giving him a little flash, saying, okay, all right, I understand. The tone has been set. When I try again, I'm not going to be so nice. We cut in at the end of that, so it was hard to tell who initiated that. But it was a moment, and now he's a little slow coming out of that turn into Sector 2. Another bit of contact. He turns in, and Zdeno's there, and I think now Zdeno's going to have the position. These guys are getting elbows out into the next turn. I believe this is turn number 10. Heading down the chicane, I think Zdeno has secured this position. Mike D'Almeida now battling Clavijo into the chicane. Clavijo cuts over that curb, and he's now on that outside. You can't really do anything once you're out there if you haven't won the position back at that point. And that is going to be D'Almeida's 19th overtake of the heat. And Ancatella is closer to Damon again. Look at this. Damon defending all the way down to the inside wall. Ancatella pulls out on that outside line. Nothing doing there, though. Ancatella's been stuck behind Damon for, I want to say, 4 laps now. And that 27 Veloster has been extremely wide. The SRG driver doing everything he can to keep the double yellow driver behind him. Another thing to keep in mind as we approach 10 minutes to go in this one, the starting order for the second race of the day is set by this race. And it looks like Kingsbury finally loses out to Zepka. May have been in turn 3, not sure, but Zepka finally makes the pass. And Christian Ost still running up here. Micah Hendricks, I just saw an off-track trigger from him. I think he may have gone a bit wide on that at turn 10, and Lazon is only 1.3 seconds back now. Talking about the second race, that grid order set by the finishing order from this race, except the top 8 are inverted. So Damon Mitchell is currently sitting on provisional pole for the second race. So that position is actually quite important to Connor Acatella and Damon Mitchell, depending on which one of them gets it. And here, looks like McKenzie's letting Lazon by. He is free to go chase Micah Hendricks now. It's just under 1.3 second gap. They did essentially the same lap last time around. Hendricks 6/100ths faster. So it's on now. 10 minutes for the B4D driver to catch Hendricks and try and make a race out of this. Jason Breen battling Christian Ost again into turn number 1. It's going to be Ost on the inside, Breen on the outside. Breen's done this before. Ost has also done this before, and he continues to be better at it, outbraking Breen into turn number 1, and he continues to lead this lineup that has Breen, Darnell, and Mike DeAlmeida has joined this group now. Ben Aiken's on the tail end of it, and then Clavijo is... It doesn't look like he's catching them, so that is this sort of group here. And Ost has been fending off plenty of people all day. It feels like we keep cutting back to him, and he's under pressure every time. For the most part, he's kept people behind him, and he has gained 14 positions in this race. It feels like we've only been watching him defend, but he's picked up spots left and right in this one so far. He is up 8 Delta positions in this race alone. I just got another, no, that was Micah's previous off track. I did get an off track for Dave Hernandez, but he appears to still be running. And look at this. Is this Mike DeAlmeida going for another move? It is. He's going to cleanly get by Darnell. Darnell leaves him all the space he needs. And Mike DeAlmeida looks like, at best, he could probably get P13 here. Not sure if he can get all the way up to Kingsbury and Zepka by the end of this one, but it is possible. It could happen. Bertolucci is under extreme pressure from Schink now, and Anthony Harrison is sitting right on the back bumper of these guys. Now, at the very least, I think you could say that Anthony Harrison definitely has more pace than Bertolucci. Bertolucci is just holding these two up, and hey, that's his prerogative, absolutely. And now we have an issue with Sedano, and I think he may have miscalculated the fuel, and he is putting more fuel into that car. So I think he put enough fuel in it for the 20-minute race. That's the second race of the day, but this first race is 30 minutes. So some good fights from Sedanos today, but an unfortunate end there. August Blondal also appears to be on pit lane, as he made the same mistake. We'll see if he pulls in to refuel. John Lazon just went purple in Sector 2, so he's really flying, and it does look like Blondal is also refueling. We'll see if anyone else comes in on this lap, because we're just past the 20-minute mark, so now would be when people are running out, if that is an issue. Lazon has not gained on Micah since passing McKenzie. It's still a 1.3 second margin. Just over 7 minutes left in the first heat. Connor Acatella still stuck behind Damon Mitchell, but they've been joined by Cody Crosgrove at this point. I don't think he was that close to them last time I checked on them. And Jason Breen behind Ost and DeAlmeida. Eric Statzer and Kevin Langer battling for P26. They have been for a bit. Those are the closest battles on track at the moment. See Dave Hernandez still hanging out in 23rd. So we'll keep an eye on Bertolucci here for the moment. And, oh, look at that. Francois Schink actually has a little bit of front-end damage. I wonder if he's hit the back of Bertolucci at some point. Is there rear-end damage on that SRG Elantra? Let's see if we can spot any. I don't see anything that would look like it. So maybe Schink picked that up from somewhere else. But as it stands, Hendricks is in the lead, but it's less than a second. Luzon really closed up the gap to him, I think, a lap or two ago. Last lap, they ran very similar times. Last lap, they ran identical times, actually. Luzon with another purple sector 2. That Honda is so good through that section. It's where he is just killing Micah. But then you come out into sector 3, and it's still about a second gap. And if you're Micah, are you sweating a little bit? Are you thinking about it? Oh, look at this. Acatella and Mitchell. Oh, Acatella went for it in the chicane, and now look at this. 3 cars all stacked up with each other. Mitchell's going to have the inside line for this, but you might want to be on the outside. It's going to be interesting to see who gets the momentum here. Acatella on that outside line, so he's going to have to travel a bit further, but I think he has a bit more speed. Let's look down into turn number 1. He does, and now it's going to be Crossgrove challenging Damon Mitchell. Who's going to come out on top? Oh, they almost touch. Acatella trying to defend 2 cars. Mitchell all the way to the inside of the track, side by side into turn number 1. That was dicey. Mitchell does manage to stay ahead of Crossgrove, and Acatella finally closes the door on the SRG driver. And that puts Acatella on provisional pole for the second race of the evening. Let's check back in on Dave Hernandez and Raymond 2. They're battling late in this race. 2 had to pit early on lap number 2. So he's been making his way back through the field. We'll keep a close eye on that. Christian Ost is still leading this field of Breen, Darnell, and Aiken. Clavijo's still sort of hanging on to the tail end of that. You see him at the very back of your picture. But with just 4 minutes to go, Micah still has a pretty sizable lead. 1 second is going to be difficult to overcome in such a short amount of time unless Hendricks makes a pretty major mistake. But coming across the line now, it's going to be 3 laps to go. Laps are minute 45. So we should get the white flag with about 15 to 30 seconds left in the race. And that white flag will be music to Micah Hendricks' ears because he has been under pressure. He's been forced to drive at the limit here this whole race, knowing that Luzon is gaining on him. And just imagine if that wreck, oh, there's a little mistake, goes a little wide. Oh, that's a big place to make a mistake. Luzon gets a lot of momentum coming out of turn 3, and Hendricks has lost almost 2/10 off the exit of that turn. And now it's inside of 7/10. The other battle for the lead, or lack thereof, Anthony Harrison. Still hanging on to the tail end of Bertolucci and Schink. And I think he is very content to, even if he can't get past. He'll be inverted onto P2 for the second race of the day. And he's far ahead of any other Delta rivals. The next closest Delta rival is Cody Crossgrove in P10, and then Matt Kingsbury in 12th, Christian Ost in 14th. In P4 in the Delta, then it's Darnell, Aiken, Clavijo, Aldridge, and Kyle Murray, and then Kirk Lane is in P10. Micah Hendricks coming out of the final corner, going through the final corner now. He gained a 10th back over the course of that lap after the mistake through turn 3. And now it is 2 laps to go for the Sia driver, trying to open the season with back-to-back wins. He drove extremely well at Belle Isle. A little pit mishap. Couldn't take away from the fact that he mostly dominated that race. Even if the end margin doesn't quite represent that fact. Here, he has not had that dominant pace. He's not had that pace where you expect him to kind of pull away. And now let's check back in on Christian Ost because, again, defending the inside of turn number 2 as they come to 2 to go. This is Breen's third or fourth attempt at this. He's done a little bit better to hold the outside that time, but still, I think, oh no, he's kept a nose in this time. Oh, he's kept a good nose in this time. He throws Oost off his line a little, but Oost drives that very well. Instead of tracking out, he kind of slows up on the apex, and when Breen goes for the crossover move, it's just Christian Oost's bumper in front of him. He has nowhere to go. So a nice defensive move there, and that keeps him in 14th. Micah Hendricks going through Sector 2 right now. He has not lost any time to John Lazon on this lap. And it looks like something has happened to Dave Hernandez. Raymond 2 got past him and is now coming up to Dom Savio, and they are right on top of each other. It's the battle for 23rd. Closest battle on track. Bertolucci still under a little bit of pressure from Francois Schink for P4 or P5. And Micah Hendricks across the start-finish, taking the white flag. 7/10 ahead of John Lazon. Can he keep it together, keep it on track, and win here in the first race today at Zandvoort? The Sia driver exits turn number 1, and he has lost a little bit of time to Lazon through that section. And now coming through the big banked bowl that is turn number 3, on board with Lazon. That time, Hendricks did not flub his exit. He keeps the gap at 7/10. And I really think that this is wrapped up unless Hendricks makes a big mistake. It's still been a great drive from Lazon. He has kept up with Hendricks when no one else could today. And it's just been... he's just going to run out of time, unfortunately. You know, if this is an alpha challenge, there's a pit stop involved, it could get spicy. But Micah is going to survive. Lazon trying to throw him off there with a little dive to the inside. Micah has lost almost 3/10 to Lazon through that sector, but he's going to hold on. He's got to make it through a couple more corners. Into the chicane, turn number 11. If he nails this, over the curb, Lazon hunting him down, can't do anything. He's one turn away from making it back-to-back wins to open the season. Last season, it took him 10 races to win twice. This season, it's just going to take twice. Micah Hendricks out of the final corner at Zandvoort, and he wins the first heat race today. That is victory for the 473. Dan McFarland's going to come across third. Then the slug in fourth. Ian Bertolucci out of the final corner. It's been a great defense from him, and he holds on to P5 today. And then Anthony Harrison just behind them crosses the line for his first Delta victory. Connor Acatella across in 8th. He will be your pole sitter for the second race of the day. Then it's Damon Mitchell, Cody Crosgrove, Matt Zepka, Matt Kingsbury, Mike DeAlmeida, Christian Oost holds on the whole race, it felt like, and manages to keep that P14. I think Mark Darnell congratulating a little bit there with the headlights. Savio and 2 are going to sort of drag race it to the line here. I think Savio's going to hold off Raymond. It is going to be close, though. Oh, it's going to be very close, but Savio's got him. 5/100th of a second was the final margin there. And with that, only a couple more drivers left to come across. Patrick Archambault comes across. And that is it for the first race here at Circuit Zandvoort. Just waiting for a couple more cars to come across the line. It's Sedano, Mark Schrader, Brandon Shelton, David Bauer, and August Blondal. And that wraps up your first heat. Well, it was quite an eventful one. I don't think any of us were expecting the start. McKenzie and Archambault coming together, taking out David Bauer with them, and that really changed the complexion of that race. And it gave Lazon a chance to really make a run at Micah Hendricks, but unfortunately, just couldn't finish it off in the end. So Hendricks with the win in the Alpha class, And it is Anthony Harrison with a pretty dominant victory in the Delta class. And we will pause for a moment and come back to you for the second race here at Zandvoort. Stay tuned. All right, we're back for race number 2. Let's run it back one more time at Zandvoort. We have 20 minutes of racing ahead. In just 20 seconds, we're going to kick off. Anthony Harrison starting P2. Connor Acatella, P1. And there he is, 10 seconds to the green lights. Here we go, they're revving up, waiting for the green flag to drop. And they're away. Acatella leads them off here at Zandvoort for the second race of the day. And he's having to defend. It's 3 wide behind him. And Francois jumps up to the lead, and this is going to get messy real quick. We'll go up above for this one. Acatella defending Schink early. Harrison slips to third. Bertolucci, Slugnificent. Look at these guys going through here 2 wide. Looks like we're going to make it out mostly okay. And yes, everyone has survived. Focusing in. Oh, look up there. That is Damon Mitchell. Side by side. That's Micah Hendricks and John Lazon are side by side ahead of him. These two get to battle it out again on this race. They finished first and second, so they started 8th and 7th. And now, if Hendricks can get ahead of him here, that would be huge for him for the rest of this race. And I think he is going to be able to crowd him out just barely here at the start. And he does. Not able to put Damon Mitchell between him and Lazon, though. Acatella and Schink side by side for the lead into the chicane. And immediately things are kicking off here in the second race of the day. And Schink is going to get this one. Look at this, into the lead. Schink's last victory last season. Oh no, that is Dan McFarland. He has been spun. John Lazon contacts him. Christian Ost has to cut across to avoid him, and no one else is going to clip him, so that was a close call for Ost, and I think damage for John Lazon. We thought his race was going to be against Micah Hendricks climbing through the field, but now he's carrying a bit of damage. No meatball, though. He does not pull in, so he is good. 1 lap is done. Look at this, the Slugnificent under fire from Micah Hendricks. A car going wide up there. That's Anthony Harrison, so they all go 3 wide for a moment. Damon has to kind of slow up, compromise his line to not hit Harrison on corner exit there. The Slug defending Micah, but he's going to have that inside line. He's going to cut up. Who's going to get the better run out? We haven't seen a move like that yet. I think Micah has done it. And he definitely has. Damon stays ahead of Anthony Harrison behind, or gets ahead of him using a similar method. They went through turn 3 side by side. And now we're starting to see the battles. Schink, Acatella, Bertolucci pulling away. Who is this? Oh, that was close. Ben Aiken and Jason Breen almost making contact there. But they managed to get through it, and they dive into Sector 2. Harrison defending from Cody Crosgrove now, and it is a battle for the Delta lead. All of a sudden, Anthony is right back where he finished the previous race. Meanwhile, Crosgrove has gained a couple of positions since the end of the last race, and now they meet to battle for the lead in this one. And if you're Crosgrove, you must be thinking, well, this has just been made a lot easier. I thought I was going to have to gain 10 positions to fight for a Delta lead. But now, he's right here in front of me. And then also, speaking of leads, Francois Schink has already opened up almost a second gap over Connor Acatella. Ian Bertolucci trailing Acatella closely. Now, we know from the first race that Schink probably has a pace advantage over Bertolucci. Crosgrove defending from Zepka on the inside, and he's going to get spun. Looked like he just crowded Zepka out a little bit too much there. No more room for Zepka to move left. Crosgrove kept moving left, and now the battle for the lead no longer. He's been demoted to 20th overall, and that is 9th in the Delta class. So that's a bit of a relief off the shoulders of Anthony Harrison if he's trying to go for those back-to-back victories. His next closest rival now is Matthew Kingsbury, running in 9th behind Matthew Zepka. Those two Matthews have been inseparable all day. Schink, purple in Sector 2 on that last lap, but Lazan, purple in Sectors 1 and 3. So still the fastest car on track, the 77, but he's stuck behind both of the Mats. I think he may go for a move here. Kingsbury is going to let him have it, and I think that's a fair move from both of them. Kingsbury might have been able to defend that, but it's probably faster and easier for both of them. And see, Kingsbury got the better run out the corner, but he's not going for this move. He's letting Lazan have it. So that's good racecraft, knowing who your race is against, and he knows that if he can get Lazan to go up there and challenge Zepka, maybe he can use him to get around Zepka when he otherwise would not have been able to. We'll see how that develops. Jason Breen and Evan Clavillo, they are teammates, and they are side by side no longer as they come through the final corner. On board with Evan Clavillo now, looking at the rear bumper of Jason Breen. Those two running well in this race thus far. Clavillo is Clavillo's P5 in the Delta class overall at the moment. Oh, and he comes right up to the bumper of his teammate there. Oh, a little loose. He had a moment on the curb, but he managed to gather it up. And as a result, Christian Ost and Mike DeAlmeida. Oh, and we got a car stopped. It's Ben Aiken on the side of the road. He is stricken. And has he towed yet? I think he's going to tow. So that is unfortunate for Aiken and for 4OGs. Now it's all down to Anthony Harrison to carry this one. The next closest 4OG driver is all the way down in 25th. That's Brian Saab. And Saab is battling with the former pole sitter, Patrick Archambault. He just went around Brian Saab. Archambault sitting in 24th right now, but it's actually, of those three that were damaged early on, Archambault, David Bauer, and Logan McKenzie, it's McKenzie who's made the most inroads. He's actually battling Cody Crosgrove right now for P19, and we're going to see this. Going to see if he goes for a little crossover move. He's actually going to stay to the outside. Crosgrove crowds him out there. After what happened with Matt, a bit of a dicey move, but this time it does not end in tears for Crosgrove. And McKenzie not able to pull off that pass, but further ahead too, trying to fend off the Bear Pope driver of Kirk Lane. I think he's made the pass on the right side there into the chicane. And further back, Archambault has made the pass on Eric Statzer, McKenzie's Yellow Flag Motorsports teammate. Back up front, Schink still holding that second lead over Acatella. Anthony Harrison finally is going to concede that position to Damon Mitchell. Still 3 cars separating him and the next closest Delta challenger, Matt Kingsbury. Oh, and now Clavijo's run into some kind of trouble. He's spun at turn 1, and he was sitting at the outside of the track. He's going to lose 5 or 6 positions from that. Not sure if it was a self-spin or if he was helped, but he was parked up there. Now he's just dealing with the traffic as he tries to get back in line, and I think he's going to get back in line here. I think actually Eric is going to lose out on that as he got stuck on the low side. Brian Saab got a better run, and he will get around Statzer. Micah Hendricks has passed the Magnificent, has caught up to Ian Bertolucci. And Bertolucci, once again, finds himself defending, though this time not from P3, but from a podium position. So defending for a bit more this time. No one seems to be catching Francois Schink at the moment, though. Harrison again under fire, this time from Lausanne. Now, will he let Lausanne go like Kingsbury did? And it does look like he breaks a little early, and not too much time lost through there. Harrison 3/10 behind Lausanne now, but he is a second and a half ahead of Kingsbury coming through the final corner. Kirk Lane and Kyle Murray battling for a top 5 in the Delta class. Through the final section, that white and pink car, Murray's, is chasing down Kirk Lane, and we have a car on the right side there. Oh, that's Dan McFarland. He's lapped and letting someone by, I believe. Murray going to pull out of the last second, though, and behind them, McKenzie and Cosgrove battling. So both of these sets of drivers fighting for something, and both sets staying side by side. So 2 by 2 into turn 3. Cosgrove with heavy contact in the rear McKenzie's car. Lane and Murray still wheel to wheel, and actually they're still wheel to wheel out of turn number 3, and they continue doing this down the straightaway. Who's going to win out here? These two are very close to each other heading into this corner. McKenzie lurking behind there, but it looks like Murray's going to finish the pass on Kirk Lane, and that was some impressive driving from those guys. Lane not done yet, though, but Murray's going to take the apex, confident that he has the position, and that confidence well earned. Now Lane's going to be under pressure from McKenzie here, but we're going to jump up actually to something a bit more interesting. Lausanne making his way back through the field, and now working Damon Mitchell. Oh, he squeezed it up there, elbows out, and look at that. It's a move. Oh no, but he overcooks it on exit, slams into that tire barrier. Hopefully he doesn't have, I don't see visual damage, but that stacks up Anthony Harrison and the Mats behind. That was a dicey situation, and Damon, that was just really close. He left the exact amount of room for David to slip in there, and both of them ended up touching because of it. So we've seen a lot of elbows out activity in this race thus far, but no big wrecks like the one in the first race, I think. Bertolucci still defending P3. McKenzie gets around Kirk Lane, so he's trying to move up into P16. We have Clavijo and Brian Saab battling out of turn number 1. Saab has the advantage into turn 2, but look at this, Clavijo with a great dive at the apex. Saab, look at this incredibly low line. This is not going to work. Look at how much speed he's going to lose on exit, and David Bauer's going to fly right past him, and Cody Cosgrove again is spun. We didn't see that one, but it was a perfect 360 spin. That's going to lose him even more positions on the day there. And that's who are we looking at here? This is Damon and John Lausanne still fighting. Oh, Damon's really getting, oh man. And David just kind of, or John, excuse me. I keep referring to John as David, I think. John now has the outside line for this corner. Probably the preferred line in this instance, because now he knows he can have that preferred inside line if he keeps it on track, but he may not have, and Mitchell's going to once again edge him out. Oh no, and there's contact and a big hit to the tire barrier, and Lausanne's day is done. And things have just gone from bad to worse for Lausanne in this race. Frustrated he couldn't get by Damon there, I think, and that's three instances of contact that those guys experienced, and Mitchell defending very aggressively into turn 10, but that ended up not being what eventually caused Lausanne's demise. Just behind where those guys were fighting, Darnell 3/10 ahead of Mike D'Almeida, trying to hold on to 10th place. But he's still on the podium in the Delta class, running P3 in that. And the next closest Delta driver is Christian Ost. He's over 5 seconds behind Darnell, so it's looking good. Meanwhile, we haven't checked back in on the lead in a bit, but we should, because Connor Acatella 3/10 off of Schink with just 7 minutes left in this race. Bertolucci defending Hendricks behind. Hendricks has gotten past him. Bertolucci's going to come back at him. They're both going very shallow through this corner. I think Bertolucci's managed to stay side by side, but only for a moment. Hendricks has a better run, and he's up onto the podium. And Schink has now lost even more time to Acatello through that sector, and it is a still 3/10 gap, though. Bauer and Sedano are battling for P20 here, side by side coming out of Sector 2. Oh, a bit wide for Evan Clavijo. Gets back on track, though. No harm, no foul. Back to the lead. This will be Acatello's first real shot at it. 6 minutes left in the race, so we're talking maybe 5 laps? 4 laps, 5 laps to the end? This is the start of lap 9. We should get 12 laps here. And Schink holds onto the lead for now, but a little bit of an over-under move from Acatella, and he'll have the nose in for turn number 2. Look at this. And he'll have the high line, the preferred line for the Banks corner. Schink's gonna get as high up in there as he can. Gets a good run, but it's Acatella back into the lead for the Double Yellow Racing team. And just as a reminder, Acatella has not won a race in the Alpha Touring Challenge yet. Not a heat race, not a feature race, not a full-length endurance race, but he leads this one with 5 minutes to go. He has been inverted onto pole in the past, but in the past, he's always, lost the position, not been able to climb up and gain it back. Here, it looks like he's got the pace. At least at the moment, he has the pace. Now, Micah Hendricks behind them, 3/10 faster than Schink on that last lap, or 2.5 tenths, and half a second faster than Acatella. Now that they're done fighting, though, we're going to see the true pace of Acatella and Schink versus Hendricks. We'll see how much of a chance Hendricks has at sweeping the races today. Bertolucci under more pressure now, this time from the Slugnificent, who he finished 4th in the first race, I believe, trying to get 4th in this one as well. We're going to go on board with him to see how he attacks the SRG driver into turn number 1. And this is the closest battle on track right now. Peaks right and tucks back in, just trying to throw Bertolucci off. Oh, and a big impact. Maybe Bertolucci overslowed, or maybe Slug was carrying more speed in than he expected. But he has a little bit of nose damage now. Bertolucci's bumper looks okay, and there's another little impact hanging into turn number 3, and this is some intimidation right here. Bertolucci knows that he is there and knows he wants P4. Oh, and that comes so close. He waited for Bertolucci to brake there before he braked. Not even braking early. Trying to keep the gap as close as possible so he can get a kind of good move into Sector 2 in one of these corners. Staying behind for the first one, but if you can screw up the second one for the guy ahead of you, and he kind of peaks. Bertolucci not going to miss the apex, though. And so far, so good for the SRG driver, holding on to 4th. Connor Acatella holding on to 1st. This gap has not changed since he passed Schink. But now he has 2 SIA drivers on his rear bumper. Al Ridgely and Kyle Murray are battling into... Whoa, look at this. Patrick Archambault diving all the way around Murray into the chicane there. That was a nice move. Murray tries to come back at him, but a better exit. And now it's Al Ridgely who's on the defense. And through this corner, he's going to have the inside line, and I think That is not going to work out for him as Archambault gets the better momentum, and out of that corner, he is up into P16. Harrison, Mitchell, and Zepka all battling again. These guys are wheel to wheel. Can Zepka finally get past Harrison? No, he cannot. Once again, losing out into turn number 2. That's the first time those guys have come to blows in a little bit. And now, Acatella has pulled a 10th on Schenk in this lap. Now Hendricks is really close to Schenk. Further back, Slug still on the bumper of Bertolucci. Kirk Lane. Oh, there's a lot happening here. Dom Savio losing out to Evan Clavijo on the outside. Daniel Cedeno is going to go around him as well. And that shows just how crazy good that high line is. Look how close these guys are heading into turn number 4. Kirk Lane taking that defensive line. They were so close. But did that sacrifice the next section to Clavijo's aggression? No, it does not. Not for the moment. Lane has a lot of rear bumper damage to that car. He has almost certainly been the victim of some naked aggression. Now, just 1 minute to go in this race. Connor Acatella coming out of the final corner now. He's going to get the white flag. Francois Schenk is 6/10 back, and actually Schenk is dropping back. He drops back behind Micah. So is this a case of Schenk letting his teammate go to try and attack Acatella? It may be too little too late, because this is the last lap, and it's a 7/10 of a second gap. We'll check back in on Damon Mitchell, Anthony Harrison. Harrison defending again from Matt Zepko. We checked in on that a little late, but they were swerving around the track a bit. And they are all lined up still. Hendricks has not made any inroads on Acatella. Coming into Sector 2, still have about half the track left here for him to make up some ground, but it's starting to look really good for the double yellow driver, who has not won a race yet in this series. Over 50 starts. How many starts does Connor Acatella have in the Alpha Touring Challenge? This is his 54th career start. He has 2 career podiums all time. But today, coming out of this chicane, he's got a half-second lead on Micah Hendricks, and I think it's gonna hold. He's just got to make it through one more corner without any major mishaps. And the number 55, Connor Acatella, through the final corner at Zandvoort. The second race today, it's gonna be his first career victory. His 54th start brings the first one home. He flashes the lights across the line, and he is coming to victory lane. Connor Acatella wins at Zandvoort. Hendricks did let Schenk back by there at the end. Friendly, team agreement. Hendricks couldn't get to Acatella, so he let Schenk take back P2. Ian Bertolucci gets 4th, holds off Slug through the end of that race. Then Mitchell, Anthony Harrison wins in the Delta class in this second race. Matt Kingsbury 2nd, Mark Darnell 3rd. And that's the Delta class for you. We're seeing a couple more cars come across the line now. Savio, Shelton, Blondal, Schmidt, Lynn, Aiken. Aiken, he stopped on track earlier in the race, so it seems like he got back out there and was able to salvage a 28th position. Aiken and Saab, not a great day today, so their teammate Harrison nailing down P7. That is a huge boon to that team. Schrader, Son, and Lauzon coming across the line to finish up, and then we will take a look at our final standings here at Zandvoort, as well as a peek at the championship standings. And Lauzon is going to be the final car to come across the line 31st. And that wraps up our day here at Zandvoort. Connor Acatella with the victory at Zandvoort. Let's take a look, though, at what happened today in both races. So race number 1. Here are your results. Micah Hendricks took the victory in the first one, 6/10 margin over John Lazan. Dan McFarland, Slugnificent, Bertolucci, Shink, that's your Alpha top 6, and then Anthony Harrison, P7 overall, P1 the Delta class. Acatella, Mitchell, Crosgrove, Zepka, Kingsbury, D'Almeida, Ost, Breen, Darnell, Aiken, Clavijo, Al Rizla, and Murray. That's your top 20 finishers for the race. Brian Son, Kirk Lane, Dom Savio, Raymond 2, Brian Saab, Kevin Langer, Eric Statzer, Jason Lynn, Gunnar Schmidt, and Patrick Archambault. That's the top 30. Top 30 being the points-paying positions, though you do get some free points if you finish at least half the laps. So also getting points today, Daniel Sedano, Mark Schrader, Brandon Shelton, David Bauer, August Blondal, Logan McKenzie, Dave Hernandez, and David Hall, I believe, did not grid. In the second race, the feature race, it was Connor Acatella up front. It was a 1.4 second margin of victory at the end, but that was just due to some switching between Shink and Hendricks. He had to defend all the way to the end of this race for his first career win, and what a win it was. Shink P2 and Hendricks rounds out the podium. Curb Your Enthusiasm Autosport has got to be happy about today's race because Mark Darnell also did really well. He's done so well that I believe they are sitting P3 in the Delta Team Championship off of his performance alone. So yeah, it's great stuff from them. Ian Bertolucci, P4, Slug P5, Damon Mitchell, P6, Anthony Harrison, a pair of P7s and a pair of Delta victories. Matt Kingsbury brings home second on the Delta podium, and then Mark Darnell is third on the podium. Matt Zepka, P8 overall, Mike D'Almeida, P10. McKenzie made it back to P12 after starting, I believe, 35th in that race. Jason Breen, Raymond 2, Christian Ost, Patrick Archambault made it back to 16th, so he also had a great recovery drive. Fuad Al-Rijleh, he is 17th. Kyle Murray is 18th. Further down the order, David Bauer made it back to 19th. Kirk Lane in 20th. Clavijo, Sedano, Savio, Shelton, Blondal, Schmidt, Lynn, Aiken, Schrader, Son. And then outside the points-paying positions, but still earning points, Lausanne, McFarlane, Saab, Crosgrove, Statzer. Kevin Langer, Dave Hernandez, and David Hall round out the finishing order. Now let's take a look at what the championship standings looked like before we showed up at Zandvoort. Micah Hendricks had a 9-point lead over Dan McFarland, and then Logan McKenzie, Francois Shink, and David Bauer were further on down. And then Brian Saab was leading the Delta Championship with Ben Aiken just behind him in 13th and 14th overall. Now, after this race, here are your updated championship standings. Micah Hendricks holds the top of the board. Shink is promoted 2 spots into second. Then it's McFarland, Lausanne, Acatella, Abrams, so that is the Significant right there, and then Matthew Zepka, McKenzie, Raymond 2, Mike D'Almeida. That's your top 10. David Bauer, Jason Breen, Damon Mitchell, and then your brand new Delta Championship leader is Christian Ost, followed very closely by Ian Henneberry Jr. And Henneberry Jr. I do not believe was here today, so that might be an error. But Patrick Archambault is right behind Mark Darnell, Ben Aiken. Further down the order, you have Saab, Gorman, Harrison, Murray, Lane, Savio, Kingsbury, Bertolucci, Clavijo, Blondal, Sedano, Lynn, Crosgrove, Smith, Al-Rizla, Son, Schrader, Perry, Schmidt, Statzer, Langer, Shelton, Hall, Hernandez, Patmore, Frey, Lambert, Lee. That is going to wrap it up here at Zandvoort. 2 incredible races, 2 very close battles for the lead. Next week, we tackle the mountain at Mount Panorama, Bathurst. We will see you in Australia on Monday. Take care, and thanks for watching.